This is an AQA GCSE Chemistry question based on atomic structure. Pause as you go, try it, and then review your answers once we get to them later in the video. Here's parts A through to C. And here's part D, taking us up to a total of 8 marks. So let's have a look at the answers. The question is about atomic structure. The atoms contain subatomic particles. The table below shows properties of 2 of those subatomic particles. So we're told that one of them is a neutron. We need to know all of the details about that. We need to essentially learn and remember the table that we're looking at here, along with the third subatomic particle. But we also need to know that the relative charge of +1 means that the other one we're interested in is the proton. Neutron has a relative charge of 0. And we have got to remember that they have a mass that's equal to each other, and we say that their relative mass is 1. Just so that you can be clear, electrons, we would say, are negligible mass. They are almost 0. Moving on to part B, an element X has 2 isotopes. The isotopes have different mass numbers. What do we mean by the term mass number? Well, that's the number of protons and neutrons within the atom. And why is the mass number different in the 2 isotopes? That's because they have a different number of neutrons. So isotopes of the same element have the same atomic number, they have the same chemical properties, they have very similar physical properties, but they have a different mass number and a different number of neutrons. Moving on to part D, and this takes us into the models of atoms and how it's developed over time. So the plum pudding model suggested the atom was a ball of positive charge with electrons embedded in it. Evidence from the alpha particle scattering experiment led to a change in the model of the atom from the plum pudding model. Why and how? Well, most alpha particles passed through the gold foil. What that tells us is that a huge amount of the atom must be an empty space if they weren't deflected or reflected in the most part. But some alpha particles were deflected, and that gives us the idea that the atom has a positive nucleus. That takes us to the end of this question. Thank you for listening.